Have you ever felt like a tiny room was somehow crushing you? Or maybe the opposite, that a wide open field was filled with some kind of invisible threat? You know, we tend to think of space as this fixed, physical thing. But what if the most important space we navigate isn't out there, but in here? Today, we're diving deep into a wild psychoanalytic theory called the imaginary space.
So let's start with this incredible metaphor from the psychoanalyst Sami Ali. The body creates space as water creates the glass. Just think about that for a second. The idea is that our physical body, our experience of having a body, is what gives space its shape, its boundaries, its entire meaning. It's the container that forms our reality.
And that, right there, is the central question. If our body is the glass, what happens when our inner world, our anxieties, our earliest memories, our relationships, what happens when those things distort its shape? What happens when the map our mind is drawing just doesn't match the territory at all?
To really get a handle on this, we first have to look at some of the seriously strange maps our minds can create. And a great place to start is with some common phobias. Just look at this. It's a complete inversion, a mirror image of fear. For someone with agoraphobia, the self, the inside, it feels empty, fragile, totally vulnerable. And the outside world, it feels overwhelmingly full of threats. But for claustrophobia, it's the absolute opposite. The threat is an invasive force inside of you, and the outside world becomes this crushing trap that's just squeezing in. The whole relationship between inside and outside gets completely flipped on its head.
And this just shows you how terrifyingly real that internal map can become. This quote is from one of Sami Ali's patients, and for her, this is not a metaphor. The threat isn't just a feeling, it's a physical, visceral experience. The walls literally have teeth. The space itself becomes an active predatory thing. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, the key to unlocking these bizarre, frightening experiences lies in a concept that Sami Ali calls the imaginary space. So, the theory goes like this. We all live in two spaces at once. First, there's the normal physical space of geometry and physics that we all know. But underneath that, there's the imaginary space. And this space, it doesn't follow the rules of the outside world. Now, it follows the logic of dreams, of symbols, and of our deepest, most primal fears and desires.
So where does a space like this even come from? Sami Ali traces it all the way back to our very first relationship, an infant's bond with its mother. In that super early, almost blended state, the line between me and not me is incredibly blurry. The self and the other are all tangled up. And that primal connection becomes the fundamental blueprint for our internal architecture, the structure of our own personal imaginary space.
Now, to see how this space can totally warp our physical actions in the real world, let's look at this absolutely fascinating case study of a young boy named Ahmed.
Ahmed had a few developmental issues, but there was one thing that was just particularly strange. His parents had shown him again and again, but he was completely unable to tie his own shoelaces. A simple, everyday task that he just could not master.
Okay, let's break down exactly what was happening. He could do all the initial steps just fine. You know, make the loops, cross them over, but then he'd get to that final, crucial motion, the one where you pull the knot tight towards your body. And that's where something went wrong. Every single time, without fail, he'd perform the movement in the exact reverse direction, away from his body, and undo everything he'd just done.
It's baffling, right? I mean, the movement is simple. He obviously wants to get it right, so what on earth is going on inside his head?
And here is the absolutely mind-bending answer. Ahmed isn't experiencing space from his own body. He's trapped in a symmetrical, mirror-like space. He's performing the action as if he's the person watching him, like he's his own reflection. And if you think about it, from that outside point of view, pulling towards the body you see means moving your own hands away from your actual body. He's literally acting from the perspective of the other.
Ahmed's case is so wild because it reveals the strange but totally consistent logic of this inner world. It's a place with its own brand of physics. Right and left aren't distinct, they're just reflections. Inside can equal outside, large can equal small. A single part can stand in for the entire whole. It's this bizarre, dreamlike rulebook that can actually overwrite our physical reality.
Now, if this logic is starting to sound a little bit familiar, it should, because this isn't just the space of phobias or developmental puzzles. This is also the fundamental architecture of our dreams.
I mean, think about it. In the dream world, the normal rules of space completely dissolve, right? Our body is no longer just an object in a space. It can become the space itself. A feeling of tightness in your throat can become a narrow tunnel. A feeling of floating can become the entire cosmos. Inside and outside just merge.
This quote captures that feeling perfectly. This patient is describing something called the dream screen, this blank, featureless surface that often represents that blissful, fused state with the mother before we're even born. In that state, you are simultaneously the viewer and the screen, the inside and the outside. There's just no separation.
And it's not just in our dreams. Artists and writers have been exploring this space intuitively for centuries. I mean, just think about Alice in Wonderland. Alice is constantly changing size, which makes the whole world around her shrink or grow. Her body loses its stable footing, and because of that, the entire logic of space breaks down. A smile can exist without a cat. Time can run backwards. It's a perfect literary tour of the imaginary space.
So what does all of this actually mean for us in our everyday lives? Because this isn't just some abstract theory. It can fundamentally change how we think about our own experiences.
This one single concept acts like this powerful key, connecting all these seemingly random parts of our lives. The hidden logic behind our phobias, the weird landscapes of our dreams, even a child's struggle to tie a shoe. They can all be seen as expressions of this internal imaginary map. It's like the invisible blueprint for our entire subjective reality. The ultimate takeaway is really this. We aren't just passive observers living in a pre-made world. Our minds, shaped by our bodies, our histories, our relationships, are constantly and actively constructing the very world we inhabit. The water doesn't just fill the glass, the water creates the glass.
And that leaves us with one final question to really chew on. If your subjective reality is a space that your own mind built, what are the blueprints you're using? What early relationships, what core anxieties, what bodily experiences have shaped the architecture of your personal world?